Level 1, the Tirone. You're a recruit, 17 years old, from a farm outside of Capua. You show up at the fort with sandals and a wool tunic. That's all you own. The drill instructor looks you up and down like you're something he stepped in. You will spend the next 4 months being broken. Every morning you wake before dawn. You march 20 miles with a pack that weighs 60 pounds. Wood, stakes, rations, armor. Your shoulders bleed. Your feet blister. The veterans watch you from across the camp. They don't help. They laugh. You're taught to use a gladius against a wooden post, not a real enemy, a post. You stab it 1,000 times a day until your arm goes numb. You're taught to build a fortified camp from scratch, every night, even when there's no enemy for 100 miles, especially then. The discipline is the point. A recruit who complains gets beaten. A recruit who deserts gets executed in front of the entire legion. You watch it happen once. A boy from your village. He tried to run on the 3rd week. They made an example of him. You don't think about running after that. You're paid nothing. You eat barley porridge and dried meat. You sleep on a wooden bunk with 7 other men who smell like sweat and misery. But slowly, something changes. Your body hardens. Your mind sharpens. You stop thinking like a farmer. You start thinking like a soldier. You belong to the Legion now. The Legion is your family, your country, your God. Level 2, the Miles Gregarius. You survived training. You're a Legionary now. You have your armor, your gladius, your pilum. You're assigned to a contrabenium, 8 men. You eat with them, sleep with them, march with them, die with them. Your first campaign is in Germania. It's nothing like you imagined. There's no glory. There's mud and rain and forests so thick you can't see 10 feet ahead. The enemy doesn't line up and fight like Romans. They melt out of the trees screaming and disappear before you can react. 3 men in your unit are killed in the first week, not in battle, an ambush on a supply run. You carry their bodies back to camp and say nothing. Your job in formation is simple: hold the line. When the order comes, you lock shields with the man on your left and the man on your right. You push, you stab, you don't break, ever. 1 man breaks, the whole line collapses. The whole line collapses, the Legion dies. You understand this in your bones. You fight in 6 battles over 2 years. You're not a hero, you're a machine, a cog in the most efficient killing machine the world has ever seen. You're paid 900 denarii a year. The government takes a cut for food, equipment, and burial insurance. You send what's left home to your mother. After 20 years of this, if you survive, you get a pension and a plot of land. 20 years feels like forever. You're 19. Level 3, the Tesserarius. You've been in the Legion 8 years. You fought in Germania, Judea, and Dacia. You have 3 scars and a reputation for keeping your head when everyone else loses theirs. The Centurion notices. He promotes you to Tesserarius, password officer, guard commander. You're now responsible for the security of the camp at night. You distribute the watchword every evening. You inspect the sentries. You make sure no man sleeps on duty. A sentry who falls asleep gets beaten by his own unit. Every man in the watch takes turns hitting him with a club. If he survives, he's lucky. If he doesn't, the unit buries him and says nothing. You enforce this rule twice in your first year. It doesn't happen a 3rd time. You're also the unofficial problem solver of your century. Men come to you with disputes. Who stole whose rations? Who owes who money? You settle it quietly. If it can't be settled quietly, you bring it to the Optio. You're making slightly more money now. You have a better bunk. The men respect you not because you're kind, but because you're fair and you don't panic. In this life, that's worth more than any virtue. Level 4, the Optio. You're the second in command of your century, 80 men. The Centurion fights at the front of the formation. You stand at the back with a long staff. Your job is to make sure no man breaks ranks and runs. If someone turns to flee, you push him back in line with the staff. If he keeps running, you use the other end, the pointed end. You're the last line of discipline. The Centurion is the sword of the century. You're the spine. You also handle the administration, pay records, supply requisitions, sick lists, punishment logs. You know every man's name, his hometown, his family, his debts, his weaknesses. This knowledge is power. A good Optio knows his century better than the Centurion does. You're being watched now. The path to Centurion runs through you. Perform well and you move up. Fail and you stay here until you retire or die. You've seen both happen. You prefer the first option. Level 6, the Centurion. You made it. 80 men are yours. You carry a vine staff, the symbol of your authority. You have the right to beat any man in your century with it for any infraction. You use this right sparingly. A centurion who beats his men constantly breeds resentment. Resentment gets centurions killed in battle by their own soldiers. A blade in the back during the chaos of combat. Nobody sees anything. You lead from the front. Always. That's the deal. You get more pay, better quarters, more respect, and you die first. In a pitched battle, you're standing in the front rank with your men. You've been wounded 5 times, a spear through the thigh in Dacia, a sword cut across the face in Britannia. You wear the scars openly. They are your credentials. You're also a manager, a judge, a priest, a father figure, and an executioner at once. When a soldier commits a serious crime, you decide the punishment. You've ordered floggings. You've ordered executions. You've written letters to mothers telling their sons died bravely, when the truth is their sons died stupidly. That's part of the job. You command one of the 6 centuries in a cohort. Your goal is the first cohort, the elite, the best centurions in the Legion. The Primus Pilus is within reach if you're ambitious enough and lucky enough to survive. Level 7, the Tribune. You've never held a gladius in actual combat. You're 22, the son of a senator, assigned to the Legion for a year to build your political resume. The men hate you quietly and professionally. You give orders, the centurions nod, and then do exactly what they were going to do anyway. You write letters home describing your heroic service. You attend officer dinners. You debate strategy without having ever stood in a shield wall. The Primus Pilus tolerates you because he has to. He's been tolerating tribunes for 30 years. They all think they understand war. None of them do. You'll be gone in 12 months, and another one just like you will take your place. The Legion will not notice either departure. Level 8, the Legate. You command the entire Legion, 10,000 men. You're a senator. This appointment came from the Emperor himself. You have real power now, and real responsibility. A lost battle doesn't just cost lives, it costs provinces, it costs Rome's reputation, it costs your career, and possibly your head. You rely completely on your Primus Pilus. You'd never admit this publicly. In the field, you make the big decisions. Where to march, when to engage, when to retreat. In camp, you manage the politics, keeping your tribunes from insulting the centurions, keeping the centurions from murdering the tribunes, managing supply lines across 500 miles, negotiating with local governors who want your men to solve their problems without paying for it. If you win a significant victory, you might be granted a triumph in Rome, a parade through the streets, the crowd cheering your name, soldiers chanting behind you, and one slave standing behind you on the chariot whispering in your ear, "Remember, you are mortal. Remember, you are mortal." The Empire does not let its generals forget. Level 9, the Emperor. You are Rome. Every legion in every province exists to serve your will. You command 30 legions, 400,000 men, the greatest military force on Earth. You wake up every morning and the first thing you do is read reports. Unrest in Britannia, a German tribe crossing the Rhine, a general in Syria becoming too popular with his troops. That last one worries you most. You were a general once. You know how it works. Popular generals become emperors. You became emperor that way. You deal with the Syrian general swiftly and quietly. His death is ruled natural. Nobody believes it. Nobody says anything. You project strength at all times. Weakness invites challengers. Challengers means civil war. Civil war means the empire fractures. The empire fracturing means barbarians pour through the borders, and everything Rome built over 7 centuries burns. That weight is on your shoulders every hour of every day. You have tasters for your food. You have men who check your bedchamber before you sleep. You trust no one completely. Not your wife, not your sons, especially not your sons. History is full of emperors killed by their children. You have everything, every luxury the world can offer, and you live in a palace that is also a prison, surrounded by men who smile at your face and sharpen knives behind your back. Level 10, the Fallen Empire. They got you eventually. Everyone gets gotten eventually. An assassination, a coup, a slow decline into madness and incompetence. Or maybe you died old in your bed, which is rarer than it should be. But the Legion doesn't die with you. A new emperor rises. A new legate is appointed. A new batch of 17-year-old farm boys shows up at the fort with sandals and wool tunics. The drill instructor looks them up and down. The cycle begins again. Rome is not an emperor. Rome is not even a legion.
Rome is the system, the discipline, the road built straight through every mountain, the aqueduct that brings water to a city of 1 million people, the law that is the same in Britain as it is in Egypt. That is what the Legion protects. That is what every man from the Tirone to the Emperor serves, and for 500 years it works, until it doesn't. And when it finally falls, the world goes dark for 1,000 years. That's what the Legion was holding back, not just enemies, the dark.